Welcome everyone to This Explainer. If you're an undergrad physics student or honestly just someone fascinated by how our modern world actually gets powered, you are in the right place. Today, we're setting the stage to explore one of the most critical yet frequently misunderstood components in electronic engineering. I'm talking about the capacitor. We're going to break down the physics, the math, and the engineering behind this incredible little device. Okay, let's dive into this by posing a fundamental engineering question. How exactly do you dump a massive burst of energy into a system in a mere fraction of a second? Think about a life-saving heart defibrillator or a high-powered pulsed laser. Chemical batteries are fantastic at providing a steady drip of power over a long period, but they simply cannot solve this problem. Their internal chemical reactions are just way too slow. To achieve that instantaneous gigawatt-level burst of power, we need a completely different approach to storing energy. And that brings us to the formal definition. A capacitor is a passive electronic component that stores electrical energy in an electrostatic field between two closely spaced insulated conductive surfaces. Let's explain that a bit more simply. If you look at a capacitor on a circuit board, it has two terminals, just like a battery. But it operates on completely different physics. Instead of storing energy through slow chemical reactions, it stores its energy purely through the physics of electric fields. Now, this is exactly the trade-off that kind of trips people up. A battery stores energy chemically. It has high energy density, meaning it holds a lot of total energy, but it has a very slow charge and discharge rate. It's essentially the marathon runner of electronics. The capacitor, on the other hand, stores energy electrostatically. It might not hold as much total energy as a battery of the exact same size, but it can release it or absorb it almost instantaneously. It is the elite sprinter, delivering rapid bursts of power right when the circuit demands it. So here is our syllabus for today's explainer. We'll start with the core concept using a really helpful analogy, move into the physical anatomy of the device, rigorously break down the math, look at its dynamic behavior in live circuits, and finally explore its high-stakes real-world applications. Section 1. The core concept. Visualizing invisible forces. Electric fields and electrostatic potential can honestly feel pretty abstract when you're first learning about them, so we're going to use a tangible analogy to visualize these invisible forces at play. To understand a capacitor, think of a water pipe, which represents our electrical wire. In this hydraulic analogy, the electrical voltage pushing through the wire is just like water pressure in the pipe. Now imagine we place a highly elastic rubber diaphragm straight across the inside of that pipe. That diaphragm, that's our capacitor. As the water pressure or the voltage increases on one side, it pushes and stretches that rubber diaphragm. The water doesn't actually flow through the rubber, but the act of stretching that membrane stores potential energy. If you suddenly release the pressure, that stretched rubber is going to snap back, violently pushing the water back out. And that is exactly how a capacitor stores and releases energy. Section 2. Anatomy and the dielectric. What's actually inside the component? So what exactly is going on physically inside the component to create this electrical diaphragm effect? Well, the secret ingredient that makes modern capacitors so powerful is what sits right between the plates. Structurally, a capacitor is literally just two conductive metal plates facing each other, separated by a tiny gap. That gap prevents electrons from flowing directly from one plate to the other, which wonderfully prevents a short circuit. But instead of leaving that gap empty, engineers fill it with a non-conductive insulating material called a dielectric. This could be ceramic, plastic film, paper, or even just air. When a voltage is applied, the molecules inside this dielectric material polarize, meaning their positive and negative charges stretch and align with the electric field. This polarization brilliantly neutralizes some of the field, allowing those metal plates to pack in significantly more charge than they ever could if the gap were just empty space. Section 3. The math of capacitance. Calculating the charge. For the physics students watching, I want to assure you right now that the rigorous mathematics we're about to look at map perfectly back to the physical concepts we just covered. Here is the absolute core formula you need to memorize. C equals Q divided by V. Capacitance, represented by C, is simply a ratio. It describes exactly how much electrical charge, Q, you can pack onto those metal plates for every single unit of voltage, V, that you apply. If you have a high capacitance, it basically means you can store a massive amount of charge without needing extreme dangerous voltages. The standard SI unit for capacitance is the farad, named after the legendary physicist Michael Faraday. By definition, a capacitor has a capacitance of exactly 1 farad if it can store 1 coulomb of charge when 1 volt of potential difference is applied across its plates. But here is a truly fascinating fact to put that into perspective. 1 whole farad is an incredibly massive unit in terms of raw physics. If you were to build a basic parallel plate capacitor with just air and a 1 mm gap, each of your metal plates would literally have to be 10 kilometers across just to reach 1 farad. No joke, it used to be a running gag in physics labs to ask freshmen to go fetch a 1 farad parallel plate capacitor from the stockroom. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how physical geometry dictates electrical capacity. Based on the formula C equals epsilon A over D, capacitance is directly proportional to the area of the plates. Bigger plates mean way more room for electrons. It's inversely proportional to the distance between them. Bringing the plates closer together increases the electrostatic attraction between the opposite charges, allowing more storage. And finally, it's directly proportional to the permittivity of the dielectric material. Simply put, better dielectrics equal higher capacitance. But hey, we don't just care about charge, right? We care about raw energy. The energy stored in a capacitor, denoted by U, equals 1/2 C times V squared. Pay really close attention to that squared term. This is a quadratic relationship. It means that while increasing the size of the capacitor gives you a linear increase in energy, even a tiny bump in the voltage you apply across those plates will massively, exponentially increase the total stored energy. This specific math is the absolute key to creating those sudden, massive bursts of power we talked about earlier. Section 4. Charging and discharging. Dynamic behavior in circuits. So how do capacitors actually act over time when you plug them into a live circuit? Well, when you connect a DC voltage to an uncharged capacitor through a resistor, creating an RC circuit, the charging isn't instantaneous. It happens in distinct chronological steps. First, the exact moment voltage is applied, electrons flow instantly, rushing right onto the plates. Second, as the plates fill up, the capacitor starts pushing back. The voltage builds exponentially, governed by what we call the RC time constant, which is a delay dictated entirely by the resistance and capacitance in the circuit. Finally, once the capacitor is fully charged, its internal voltage perfectly matches the source voltage. At that exact moment, all current flow completely drops to zero. The tank is officially full. This gives the capacitor an almost magical dual personality depending on the type of current. For direct current, or DC, a capacitor acts as an impenetrable brick wall. Once it charges up, the dielectric stops any further flow. But for alternating current, or AC, where the voltage is constantly flipping back and forth, the capacitor never fully charges. It's constantly charging and discharging, causing electrons to rush in and out of the wires on either side. Even though no electrons physically cross that dielectric gap, the AC signal dances perfectly in sync, passing through the circuit as what we call a displacement current. Section 5. Real-world applications. Let's move to and see how this builds from theory straight into practice. It's time to take these abstract math and physics concepts and look at the high-impact engineering marvels they actually enable. Remember that energy formula, U equals 1/2 CV squared? This is where it absolutely shines. Devices that need extreme rapid energy releases rely entirely on capacitors. A life-saving heart defibrillator uses a capacitor to store up energy from a small battery over a few seconds and then instantly dumps a massive, carefully calibrated jolt right across a patient's chest. Camera flashes use them to deliver blinding bursts of light. And in high-end physics labs, literal banks of capacitors are used to power pulsed lasers, releasing actual gigawatts of power in a matter of nanoseconds. But it isn't always about raw power. Because capacitors block DC and pass AC, they act as the ultimate bouncers in signal processing. In classic radio tuning circuits, rotating a knob actually turns variable air capacitors, physically changing the overlap of the metal plates to select the exact resonant frequency of your favorite station. In audio speakers, crossover circuits use capacitors to block damaging bass frequencies from reaching delicate tweeters. And right now in your laptop, smoothing capacitors sit right next to the processor chips, absorbing tiny voltage spikes to protect the delicate digital logic inside. The scale of this technology today is honestly just breathtaking. At the macro level, we have supercapacitors with massive energy densities being used to capture braking energy in electric vehicles and buses. At the atomicro level, the dynamic memory, or DRAM, inside your computer consists of billions of microscopic capacitors, where a tiny electrical charge represents a digital 1 and an empty capacitor represents a 0. And for you DIY electronics fans out there are even gimmick capacitors, which are literally just two insulated wires twisted together to create a tiny custom capacitance for very high-frequency radio oscillators. So, We've journeyed from a simple rubber diaphragm analogy all the way to gigawatt lasers and microscopic computer memory. But as materials science advances, supercapacitors are steadily increasing their energy density. They're actually beginning to rival chemical batteries in terms of raw storage, while perfectly maintaining their lightning-fast charge rates. So I leave you with this to ponder. As this technology continues to blur the line between electrostatic storage and chemical batteries, will the humble capacitor eventually replace the battery entirely and power our entire world? It's a truly fascinating frontier in physics. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.